Today we're going to be building the 2001 final project house. I'm showing you a little bit about some techniques for doing flat cut construction that's precise, even when you don't have access to a laser cutter. Let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is open up the file with the laser cut vectors, as if you were going to laser cut it. Now this is an SVG file and we're using Inkscape to open it. Each of the layers are separated out into layers, and what you're just going to want to do is turn off all the layers for the part that you don't want to print. Print this one, then turn it off, print this one, turn it off, print this one, and so on. And when you're done, you should end up with a stack of papers with one of each of the designs printed on it. You're also going to need an X-Acto knife and a fresh blade. Remember, every time you work with an X-Acto knife, put a fresh blade in. They're cheap, and a dull blade is how you hurt yourself. You're going to need the two 3D printed parts. Remember, there is a left and a right here that sets the angle for the roof going this way and the angle for the roof going that way, with a little notch to hold the middle plate. I would recommend using some heavy rectangular pieces to make sure your right angles are nice and sharp. These are just simple machinist 2, 3, 4 blocks, but literally any relatively heavy object with a right angle on it will do. You'll see why in a minute. You're going to need a ruler for cutting your edges, but there's a really important feature that you need to make sure you have, either a metal ruler or a ruler with a metal insert. And you can see that metal insert right there is for cutting along. You do not want to cut along a plastic edge. And you're going to need a broken down cardboard box. This is a small shipping box that's been broken down into flat pieces. Note that we don't include folds as part of the shape, so just make sure that all of your pieces of paper fit on contiguous rectangular sections and don't have any folds in them. Alright, let's get started. Okay, the first step to transferring our precise dimensions to our cardboard is to take the printed piece of paper that we got out of our paper printer and just cover the back of it with a glue stick. This doesn't need to be super precise, because what we're doing is sticking the paper to our cardboard so that when we cut the lines, they're all straight relative to each other. But there's no real registration happening here, so putting this down, as long as you get it as flat as possible, you can use your ruler, straighten it out, get it down nice and flat. All we're trying to do is just get this attached just enough so that we can cut our lines precisely. You don't need to keep the paper attached, but you're also welcome to do so if you wanted to put designs on it. Now that we have our paper glued to the cardboard, we're going to give that a little bit to dry up, and I'm going to glue up the other pieces while it's drying. Okay, now that our cardboard and paper has had a little chance to dry, we're going to begin cutting out our shapes. So first step is to take a fresh blade and put it into our X-Acto knife. And I show this step because it's important. Every time you start a project, you should start with a fresh blade. Okay, so next up, we're going to use the lines that were drawn by the computer for us and align the metal edge of our ruler as close as we can to that metal the line we want to cut. And we're going to go past on both sides so that we get a nice crisp edge. And we never assume we're going to cut all the way through the first time. We're going to do it unless it completely separates on its own. We're going to do that at least 3 times. Okay? Nice clean edge. As we get cranking here, this will start going a little bit faster. I'll just separate that out like that. Good. All right. For the little corner sections here, we're going to align our ruler like we were going to do a cut, but we're going to do a plunge cut, in which case take the tip of the knife, plunge it in, and pull it out. Plunge it in, pull down. Plunge in, pull down. Take it the other direction, align the ruler the other way, plunge in, pull out, and there we go. Nice clean edge. As we continue around, we'll end up with exactly the correctly shaped cardboard. Now, we can leave the paper glued to it if we want to. There's nothing wrong with that. But once the lines are all cut, you don't need the paper anymore. And if it falls off, no big deal. That's why I wasn't too precious about how the glue was applied. You see, we're just going around, lining up the edge. Not applying a super duper amount of pressure. We want to let the knife do the cutting, not the force. You see, 3 is the magic number. You should be doing at least 3 strokes per. Just figure out the best way to approach this one. And we line it up like that. We do our plunge and pull, plunge, pull. And as we come around here, one more plunge and pull, plunge and pull. All right. That's 1 out of 5. I'll do the rest on time lapse. Okay, now that we got all of our pieces cut, let's start assembling our little house. So, to begin with, we're going to take our middle piece and our top shoulder pieces, and we're going to link them together by gluing them. Now, simple way this attaches is this piece sits right in the little notch there. But we want to make sure that our pieces go in at right angles. So we're going to bring in our pieces of steel to hold everything and align it. And let's see if I can get that framed up so you can see the whole thing. Alright. So you can see the top of the roof here is aligned with this piece, and the back is aligned with this piece, and the 2 pieces of steel are holding this in the middle. You can see there's a little teeny gap here, and that is where we're going to put our hot glue. Actually, we can pull this out so we can get some more glue in there, and scooch it right into place, and let the steel hold our alignment. Okay, now that the glue is dried and cooled, we can pull away our steel bits, flip it over, and get ready for the next piece to go on. Now we just want to make sure that we're lining up the side angles so that the roof angles match on both sides. And actually, in order to do that, I gotta flip this one around and put this one up. Alrighty. Now that I got everything sort of test fit, so I can see that it's going into the right place, take this out, put in a little bit of glue. And stick it right into place. Again, using the big heavy steel blocks just to hold everything with a nice sharp right angle here. Alright, let's let that cool. Okay, now that that's drying, we can take away our supports and move our building to the upright position. In this pose, we're going to put on the side that goes on over here. And we're just going to move our two steel bricks so that they form a nice flat side of our building. And you can see how this will line right up with that. And we just put a little bit of glue on the plastic piece. And down some ways until it gets roughly to where the bricks are. We just need enough to hold everything in place. And again, we're using our steel supports to hold everything in place. Look good? Alright. Let's let that dry. Alright, that's nice and dry. Let's turn it around to do the other side. Again, we're going to put some glue on the printed piece first. And some down the seam. Doesn't need to be much. And completeness doesn't matter. This will hold itself together pretty well once this piece is on. Stick it in. And again, use our steel bricks to keep everything nice and right angled. This piece here, being straight up and down, is the most important piece for making your ultrasonic sensor read correctly. Alright, we'll just let that dry. Alright, and finally, we're going to attach our roof pieces. But before we do that, we're going to stick something in to hold our plates. And that's going to come in the form of a little M5 bolt, which we're literally just going to punch through the cardboard after scoring it slightly. We just score a little X through the holes. And you should be able to push the bolt through. And if you can't quite get through the first time, score that X a bit deeper. There you go. And you should be able to push it straight on through. And then pull it out and push it through the other side. And now you have a pin to hang your plates off. One more M5 bolt. Push down through. And now you have your second plate. And last step, apply a little bit of hot glue to the top of our building. And apply the roof plates. And you just want to get them as close to the edge as you can. But the printed piece is going to hold them at the correct angle, so you don't have to be too precious with it. Coming around. We're going to score the X. Just lifting it up slightly and plunging straight through. Good. Push our bolts through. Apply a little hot glue to the top of our building. and place the final roof piece as close to the crest as you can get it. And there you go. Once that is fully dry, you should have ready to go relatively high precision construction of the building. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.